sinful affairs. I didn't invite you to stay there. Bring in your luggage, causing well damage in my luggage. That dirty devil building house on Milan. Bringing all kind of material here on Milan. Causing all kind of bacchanal here on Milan. But I had enough, I tell you I had enough. Go you away, Satan, go you away. You overstay your time, overstay your time. Go you away, Satan, go you away. You overstay your time, overstay your time, Lord. Pack up the things and leave, pack up the things and leave, Lord. Pack up the things and leave, pack up the things and leave. Go you away, Satan, go you away. You overstay your time, overstay your time. It's a truckload of sin you're backing up on the land. It's a bag of stress you're putting up on the land. Well, it's opium man you're bringing up on the land. Well, I had enough, I tell you I had enough. Go your way, Satan, go your way. You overstay your time, I tell you, you overstay your time. Go your way, Satan, go your way. You overstay time, you overstay your time, Lord. Pack up the things and leave, pack up the things and leave, yeah. Pack up the things and leave, pack up the things and leave. Go your way, Satan, go your way. You overstay your time, you overstay your time. Oh, yeah, yeah. Woo, woo. Yeah, yeah. Messenger, yeah, fire generator. People me love me no selfish. Word of God have been blue like shellfish.
Yes, a blessed good night to everyone and everyone in Radio Land. Welcome to Youth Energy Fridays, and of course, it is hosted today by ISCF, the Interschool Christian Fellowship. And it's always a pleasure to be here. It's always a pleasure to be back in the studio, back with all of you as our listeners, everyone who is in the building. So we say a welcome. Stay tuned because we have a very interesting topic coming up. All right, we're talking about career. We're talking about what it is that you want to do until you die, as some would say. All right, so keep it locked in, and we will be back. All right, after this one little tune here, but it's a big tune. All right, and we'll be back right here on Hope FM 103.1 Youth Energy Fridays.
We don't leave soldiers behind. We don't leave people behind. Lyrically, I'm not ill, I'm healthy. Blessings are growth and retreat, do not fail me. It's not about me, it's not about you. Simmer down yourself like idols you. Clean heart, I do it. Humility, I do it. Do everything you have to have a response to it, Lord. Disciples, we are make and Jesus are order our steps. So then, when we roll out for Jesus Christ and sold out, you know I fi question lifestyle clean and there is no doubt. Anointing build up in a me. Word of God shut up in a me. It too hot me up, we tell everybody. Make we tell everybody we are the messenger nation. Messenger nation. We don't leave soldiers behind. We don't leave people for dying. Messenger nation. Messenger nation. We don't leave soldiers behind. We don't leave people for dying. Any boy we go think them a island. Get blow away like Hurricane Ivan.
Right, so we are just getting into it today. Before we get straight into it, let me just encourage you, if you are listening via radio, you turn it up and shout to your neighbors and say, hey neighbor, turn it on to 103.1 FM. And if you are watching via YouTube or Facebook or through the app or through the radio station, just share the link with someone and tell them, come on, that ISCF is on Hope 103.1 FM. All right, so we're about to get straight into it. As you would have known, and I said before, our topic for today is career choice. You know, it is something that we all have to go through at some point in our lives. unless we strike gold and we get a big money and we decide we're not working. We all have a career choice, a decision to make. All right, and when we say career choice, it's not just talking about going and work for somebody. It's not just talking about getting a job. You talk about what it is you want to dedicate your life to. All right, and we're going to get into all of that. We're going to define it. We're going to talk about it. But it's something that I think that we all have to understand. We all have to get it clear. Some might say maybe for the young people who just getting in. I say it's for everybody, because it's never too late to make a pivot. It's never too late to make a change. It's never too late to realize that you need to do something different. All right, so we're making career choices throughout our entire life. So for not wanting to say the things that the panelists may come and say, I'm not a panelist today. I'm just here to guide the conversation. So I'm going to bring up our panelists one by one, and they're going to introduce themselves. They're going to tell us a little bit about themselves. And let's get straight into it. So I'm going to start with a young lady who is no stranger to this platform. She's here. She's been here before. She has quite a number of insight into a number of things. As you can see, we call her up anytime we just want somebody who will do something, right? We call her up because we know that point. All right. And today she's here to discuss as one of our panelists on career choices. So I'm going to welcome you on stage, Jada Glean. Just say hello and just tell us a little bit about yourself, career-wise, personality-wise, everything.
Good night. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Good night, everyone. Good night to the viewers as well. As you'd have introduced, I am Jada Glean. I am 19 years old. Sometimes I forget my age, so pardon that. But this topic, I think, is really a necessity because these days you find students or even teenagers around my age, and so they find it difficult to decide, or they think that they need to decide now what it is they want to do or what it is they want to spend the rest of their life doing. So I think this program would be really helpful. I'm very much excited to join. I mean, I was along the path where I had to decide what I wanted to do too. So I'm here to share insight.
Nice, excellent. Well, welcome and thank you for coming on to the show. And next up, I have with me. Well, I will let the person introduce themselves. I just give us a little bit more about their background, about who they are. Judy Monroe. All right, Judy. Thank you for coming on. If you could just let us see your lovely face so that we can hear from you. Judy, you there? All right, so it seems as if Judy is getting herself organized audio-wise. All right, but in the meantime, we're going to bring up our third panelist. All right, I don't believe he's a stranger to Hope 103.1 FM. He has been on before, all right, not on this program, but he's been here before, so he's no stranger. But first time coming on the platform of the ISCF Youth Energy Friday. He's a man of career. God has taken him to very many places to do very many things. A doctor, all right. So we have to put a little bit of respect on the name, all right, and and a man of God, right? So let me just welcome you. Just introduce himself, the Dr. Trevor Stevens, as he, just come to grace us with his presence and knowledge in the area of career choices.
Good to be with you guys tonight. I'm excited about the topic of career and career development. So, especially when we look at it in the Christian life. I guess currently I serve as a psychotherapist, but I've held many other positions in my field, in and out of my field. So I'm excited to talk about that tonight.
Excellent. Thank you, Brother Stephen. So Judy, are you with us again? Judy, we just want to test to see if Judy has.
Yes. Are you able to hear me now?
Excellent. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay. There's my lovely picture right there.
All right.
I do apologize for not coming on camera today. My apologies. Been running around all day. Remind me again exactly what I'm doing. I'm introducing myself.
Yourself. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Judy Monroe. I am not 19, far from 19. Yes. And what else do I want to say? I
No.
am currently a HR specialist and I work for the Department of Veterans Affairs in California.
All right. Thank you very much, Judy, and thank you for coming on the show. Um, we just want to have a little discussion today, because I think it's a very important topic, and I think one of the things that we see when we talk about career choices, um, persons always wonder, where do I start? How do I start? And I think one of the things that we, before we get into the Christian life and everything else surrounding career, but how is it that someone reached to the point where they um, they start to understand or start to put together what it is that they want to do as a career? All right. So that's not the first question. I just want to put that in the back seat so that we can, kind of simmer on that one. But what I want to ask first and foremost is this: what do we define career as? Because we want to go through this whole conversation, and then Jada thinks career is a part-time job. Trevor thinks career is something different. Judy thinks career is something different. I have my own understanding of what a career is. So I think first we need to just define. Just let us have a definition that we accept or we may not accept of what career is. So I'm going to start with you, Jada, being the, the elderly in the room. Tell us, what is, in your understanding of career, what does career look like to you?
It's the first time I've been referred to as the elderly, but I'll take it nonetheless. I'll take it.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
career, yes, thank you very much. Career for me is, simply put, what you decide, what you would do. Well, it's a decision that you make ideally, but what you decide to do in terms of surrounding, touching and concerning your purpose in this life, something that would give some impact to you both internally and externally in your life. So that's basically what my understanding of it would
All
be.
right, all right, all right. Thank you. I like that definition. Judy, what say you?
So for me, I would say career is not a job at all.
Mm-hmm.
So career is something that you're willing to do for the rest of your life,
All right,
right? Because a job, you can go at McDonald's and have a job. You can go at, let's see, the supermarket and have a job. But a career is something that you decide that, hey, I'm going to continue doing this for the rest of my life. And if I have a career, for example, if I'm a nurse, that career will take me from state to state, hospital to hospital. That's what I consider a career.
all right. Thank you for that, Judy. Trevor, what are your thoughts?
Career, I think about your field of experience at work. And of course, as the other panelists mentioned, it entwines your purpose, it entwines what you want to do in your life. So,
All right, all right. Thanks for that. So now that we have an understanding of what career is, let me get to the question that everybody seems to want to know. When or how do I decide? How do I determine? So let's take it back to, let's say, primary school, secondary school. How do I determine what do I want to do as a career? What do I want to do as a job? We all know when we were in primary school, everybody wanted to be a policeman. Everybody wanted to be what's the next thing? A policeman, a firefighter, a nurse, a doctor. Right? These are the big four. And then now we grew up, and who turned economist, who turned this, who turned that. How do you get from wanting to be a policeman at 6, 7, 8 to becoming a a psychotherapist or become an HR manager? Um, what happens in that journey? If you could just share with us your career journey. First of all, share with us your career journey, and then let us know how is it that one can move from a, this fairy tale, I should say, this fantasy dream of something because of it looks good. To this is what I want to do. This is my passion. Let's start from Trevor, and then we'll come back down.
go back at not primary school, but probably secondary school. In terms of like age 11, when I was asked, what do I want to be? And for me was an accountant. I knew that I wanted to go into the accounting field. As I developed skills in that field, I know I wanted to do internal auditing at that point when I got um, to learn a little more about the field. But I knew that's a field that I wanted to go into. Now, how did my journey start off? I wanted to be an accountant at 11 and doing healthcare, behavioral health. That's a longer story than we have for the panelists. But I would say that in my life experience, so like example, my planning was all okay. I'm going to get my accounting degree. I went and actually got it. But through life experience and through God's calling, that kind of changed my direction. And kind of here's where I'm at right now.
All right, all right. Yeah, you have an interesting story. I will pick on some of that for the during the rest of the night here and there. But yes, we hear your story, in terms of what made you decide to change and so on. So, Judy, tell us about your career journey and what came about to lead you to where you are right now.
So, wow. At the age of 11, there was nothing there. My whole brain was blank. When I got to be 19, I said, wow, I'm going to be the best chef ever. Was
Yeah.
working towards being a chef. And then I got to about 25. And then I was like, yep, I'm going to be a psychologist. Going to school for psychology. Yes, that's what I'm going to be. And I remember I met a psychologist and he was telling me how long school was and what he had to do. And I'm like, I'm moving on. So for the next for the next few years, I graduated high school and I was a bum. I stayed a bum for many years, and then I went to different classes. I had so many classes I took. Um, Finally, one of my the school advisor, he said, Miss Monroe, what exactly do you want to do in your life? And I was like, I have no idea, none whatsoever. But in the same time, I was working as a receptionist slash helping my supervisor, who was the HR specialist manager. And I was helping her along the way while I was going to school. And I was like, this is an interesting career. This is an interesting career. And finally, it happened that I got another job doing helping out with bringing the employees on board. I was teaching them how to use the time clock. I was doing all this stuff, and I was like, that is something I can do. So finally, I end up going back to university. I'm not gonna tell you my age, but it wasn't 19. I went back going back to university, and I did human services, and that's how I ended up as a human resource specialist, and I love it.
Nice, nice. That's a
Yes,
interesting
yes.
journey you had there. An interesting journey you had there, right? Yeah. What about you? I don't know if to say you're just starting off or in your mind you're probably halfway there. I don't know what you think about it, but let us know about your journey with with your career, where it is at now.
So let me start off by saying, Dr. Stephen and Miss Monroe, y'all have me wondering whether or not I have such a shift in due time, because I am so committed or so passionate about doing law right now. But the way things are going, and from what I'm hearing, I might just change path in the next couple of years. But nonetheless, I think I've started my journey in my career in law. Well, it's law and political science, but startup would be definitely law. I did law at TAMCC, and I'm currently engaged with one of the law firms here in Grenada. I am so passionate about it. It's not easy, but I think it's really my passion that keeps me going. And every day I learn something new. Every day I learn something different. But let's hope in the next couple of years I'm not on this program saying that I'm a chef or something. Because
And I think that's a good segue into my next question, which is passion versus money. All right, passion versus money. Um, there are a lot of things that we are passionate about in terms of career that may not give us as much money as something that we as some other options that we may be able to do as well, but not as passionate about. So the question I would, and anybody can answer this one, should we always look to passion when making a career choice? A career choice. Should it always should passion be the forefront of that decision that we make as it relates to our career? So anybody could answer it based on how you feel about that topic.
I will go. I would say yes, because this week was my mid-year review with my um with my boss, and I remember telling him I am living my best life, and I'm living my best work life, and it wasn't because of the money. It was because of where I am, the people I'm working for, where I'm at in my career, and what I had to give up to be where I am. So I would say, oh, it's definitely passionate about my job right now. Or my career, more like career. We're not using the term job, it's career.
Right.
Yes, yes. So
Um,
I think passion, yes. Once you have passion for what you want to do, I think everything else will follow along.
okay. All right. Anybody want to just add to it or agree, disagree?
Miss
So I'm not
Judy.
hearing you. Yeah. Okay.
I said I think I agree with Miss Judy, because I think passion is related to your purpose, right? If you're passionate
Yes.
about something, it gives you longevity, it gives you motivation to get up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just a job for money, you may get the money, but you may not be happy in your job. And research is all about being purpose driven, right? And being passionate in a job helps you to actually be more happy. And so I think I fully agree with Miss Judy.
So
Right.
let me ask you, can you, sorry for cutting you, I didn't hope I didn't cut your train of thought, but can passion be developed, or is it something that has to come? Because Judy was saying that, she was doing this thing in the office, and then she more or less stumbled into the HR based on where she was working. Can the passion be developed, or is it that if I try this thing and I'm not passionate about it, or if I'm not passionate about this, I'm not going to try it, I'm not going to attempt it? Um, just give us a little bit more on that, from
Yeah,
that
I do
perspective.
think passion can be developed, right? But
Mm-hmm.
again, that would be based on kind of what your purpose and your mission is, right?
Right,
Uh,
right.
you may have certain skill set that might meet certain careers, right? So, for example, if you're in a helping profession, you can go into social work, you can go into psychology, you can go into a number of fields that have that skill set that you can use, that you can develop a passion for doing therapy, or you can
Right,
develop a passion for helping in like CPS or helping kids or teaching, right?
right,
So
right,
I think when you think about passion is where you can develop based on kind of what is your skill set is in. So
right,
for example, Miss Judy talked about she liked the jobs that when she ended up in HR, she really enjoyed it, and so that helped develop her passion in that field. Now, the skill set she probably had the skill set way before she got into the HR field. Now, the HR field helps her to be feel more fulfilled because she's getting the work and she's enjoying what she does.
right, right. Understood. Um, because I'm here and I'm asking myself, is it especially when it comes to career, and when we are linking passion to career and career choices, um, we should be mindful that the passion may not be for the particular job, but the passion you have, it fits into that job and maybe other work and maybe other career. For example, I may be somebody may be passionate about speaking, about communicating, about delivering a word, about connecting with people, but they may not be as passionate for preaching, right? And somebody may see you speak and they say, "Wow, you will be a very good pastor," right? Feel the calling on your life to be a pastor because they see a passion and they try to fit that passion into just one particular path, right? So I guess I don't know if it's a question or just something that I want to share is that um, how do we rightfully direct or guide the passion that we have? Um, Jada's passion may not be law, but her passion may be for justice, and law just fits into it, or legal something fits into it, and it could fit in somewhere else. Jada, I'm not discouraging you from doing law. Go ahead. But how do we guide passion to the point where it can express itself without without being fit into a particular career path that may.
Right, right, right. Because I say there's no bad jobs, but they may not be a good match for you. And so when you think about matching, does it match your passion? Does it match your skill set? Does this job does that, right? And can it give you fulfillment? Do you feel that where God is calling you to be?
Right, right. Jada, let me inform you. If you have anything to share on that.
I honestly do concur with what Dr. Stephen and Miss Monroe said, and Dr. Stephen would have mentioned it's where God calls you. And I think that is when you know, really, this is where I'm supposed to be, because you would seek guidance from God when finalizing that. So I think that is a very important part of that decision.
All right, all right. And speaking about the calling of God, um, in terms of your career path, uh, I just want to just dive into this a little bit more, right? And I like to ask the hard questions and the questions that we don't normally look into. When somebody say that you're guided by God to choose your career, right? How do you explain then persons who will do this for a couple of years, then bounce here and then go there and then end up somewhere else and end up something else? Is it that they're not guided by God, or is it that God is guiding them all over the place? So what do you say about that?
Are you directing that to a particular person?
No, no.
I feel like you directed it to me.
Let's have Judy first and then.
You know what? I'll take that one because I felt like that was a little touch on me as well, right? So, let's say I started my life over again when I got to be, all right, I will say 33 years old was when I had to do a complete reset and start my life over. And by the time I was done with university, probably since there's only four of us, hopefully there's not a whole lot more, but let's say, I graduated college when I was 45 years old, university,
Wow,
45
okay.
years old. Yes. And I told you I was a bum, so now you believe me, right? So 45 years, I graduated university. And one of the things I did, I didn't just say, I'm going to go into a job. What I did was I wrote affirmations, and I did these affirmations asking God for the perfect job in the perfect place, perfect location, perfect people. And that was my affirmation I started that affirmation in 2014 because it was the last year before I graduated university. And there was one place on my mind I really enjoyed being when I was a young mom, because my ex-husband worked for the VA hospital. And I loved being at the VA hospital. It was like one of the most amazing places because I got to talk to the vets. I got to see all the stuff that they did for this country. And it was amazing. So I remember going back and doing this affirmation. I applied for a job and I was rejected for the job. And then I don't know where it came from, but somebody sent this little somebody sent me another job announcement, and it said, this will be a perfect job for you. And I was like, well, where did that come from? Who sent it to me? And in the meantime, I kept on saying the affirmation, because this is what I wanted God to bless me with. I didn't just want to be all over the place again, because I felt I was older and I knew where I wanted to be, but was that God's will or was it my will? So, but I took it to him first. And when I got the invitation to apply for a pathway student program, believe me, I was 45 doing a pathway student program.
Right.
And I remember coming home one day and I told my mom, I said, whoa, I can't do this job. I make no money. I can't pay rent. And she said something. She said, learn the job and the money will come.
Right.
And not to say that out loud because she's right here. That was the first time I actually listened to her. And that right there was, and to me, that was God, right? Because this was not my will. It was God's will. And I went to him first before I say, okay, this is the job I want. This is the career I want. So
Right.
yes.
Nice. I like how it all unravels itself, unfolds itself as you take a step. You see where God is taking you a little bit, further, and obedience is a big part of it.
Yes.
Doc, you were saying you want to add to that, or you want?
Sure. I mean, and that's part of my story is a little bit more, because at age 16, I decided, 16, 17, I had made a 10-year goal. I wanted to get my degree. I wanted to get my first degree, my bachelor's degree. And so I was just, I think I was in TAMCC at the time. And so for me, I taught for about 5 years here in Grenada. And then I kind of felt ready to go and get my degree. If you remember that, Denison, I was supposed to go for what, 3-4 years and come back. I still get this. But that was I had a career goal and path in mind, right? So I went out, I did achieve that, but God directed me elsewhere. As I was getting my degree, I had other experiences, right? I got to travel, I got to do mission, and that kind of directed my path in terms of where to go next, right? And one of the things that I've learned is once you acknowledge God in all your ways, God is going to direct your path, and he's going to provide the resources and the things for you to achieve what he wants you to achieve.
Right.
And so for me, as I acknowledge God, as I see God and he direct me, I followed, right? But when I was finished with my graduate degree, you look at my resume and you'll be like, what? One of my friends was like, are you only staying in jobs for 9 months? And so probably the first 3 to 5 years, if you look at my resume, it was developing different jobs and different experiences. So I worked in the church, I worked in the schools, I worked for nonprofit organizations. But for me, it was helping develop the skills that I used later on, right? And so where I landed in the behavioral health, mental health field, I stayed for at least 5 years, almost 5-6 years in one job, and then at the state for another 2.5 before I came back home. So, but you can see the development in terms of, does it look like I'm jumping from job to job? It does, but part of it was developing the skill set in order for me to have the job that I have today. And I know culturally we have folks who we are like, you stay in a job and you stay in a job for
25 years.
Life, for life, yes.
For life, right? And you stay in that job
until
you give your all to that job.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I've learned is being loyal to my career and not the job.
Yeah, right.
Being loyal to God and not the job. Because again, you fall down today,
Job will
best
continue.
believe they're going to be hiring someone
Replacement.
tomorrow,
They'll
cleaning up the
replace
desk,
you. Yes,
right?
yes, they will
Exactly.
replace you.
And granted, they may mourn a day or two for you,
Yeah,
but they need their
Life
job, they
goes
need their
on.
work done, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
exactly.
so I've
Exactly.
learned to develop my skill set, learn to develop, because at the end of the day, they can't take the skills that I've learned. They can't
Right.
take,
Right.
right, what I've learned and achieved in terms of my management skills, in terms of my people skills, in terms
Right.
of all the skills that has now made me successful today.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said a very important thing about being loyal to career and not the job. And that was a question when you had answered it, but the question was, can you have multiple jobs within a same career? Is it wise? And you already touched on it already. Um, so I wouldn't press on that too much. But Jade, I want to hear from you. Being someone who's starting off in your career, what made you decide? And you say you love legal, you love law. What was that point when you decided or when you understood that this is what I love and this is what I want to do?
Right. So I think it started off more with politics as opposed, and then it kind of meshed into law because
Right.
you always say law is a stepping stone to get into politics.
Right.
Since I've known myself, and my friend actually reminded me of that, since I was in preschool, I've been saying I want to be prime minister. So the whole drive for that have been being in a position where I can institute or implement long-standing change, development in my
Right.
country. That's the whole thing, helping people on that scale. What I've been forced to realize in the last couple of years, I think COVID would have brought that about, is that I don't necessarily have to be in that position to do so. I can start now, I can start within my career and then just build on that. So
Mhm.
I think that with all of that, the passion is still politics, I'm not going to lie. But law has meshed itself so much because to me they coincide. So that
Right.
is still, I think, so I would say since then, and it was reaffirmed a couple years ago. I mean, I started faltering a bit at TAM-CC, but then God would have reminded me, okay, this is why you're doing this. And that
Okay.
really kept me going to now. So,
All right. Nice. So I like how it's one thing springs you after the next. And let me ask you, as Christians though, as Christians, uh, do you think that there are certain career paths? How let me phrase the question better. Do you think that there are certain career paths that Christians should avoid at all costs? Um, is there some things that what are some other leadership we know we know about following God and following the leadership of God. But are there certain career paths or certain passions that we may have that will go against what God wants for our life? And how do we identify these things? Or is it that whatever you feel like doing, whatever comes to you, then you should just run off and do it, because this is my passion. You know, I love dancing, so I should go and I should go to the club or something like that. And who wants to take that one?
I can start off. I was asking that question when I saw it, like, is there any career that Christians should avoid? I do believe so, and in general, I think I can put it like this: careers that do not glorify God, you should avoid. I think that covers that puts an umbrella on a lot of things. So it asks, does this glorify God?
Right.
Right?
So
No.
what are those the career paths that are perceived to be um, evil just because of perception? Let's look at Jada's case. We all know in Grenada we see all politicians are thief and lie. Once you're a politician, you're a thief, you're a liar. Um,
Right.
we
But I think
always
that's generalizing, one, right? So we don't want to
exactly,
generalize.
exactly,
But two, you remember that if God has called you to be a change agent in the nation, that He can call you to lead a people, right? You are
Mhm.
first a Christian before you're a politician.
right,
You're first a Christian before you're a lawyer. You're first a Christian before you're a doctor,
exactly,
right? You're following the teachings and the principles of Christ in your life guides what you can do and what you can do, right? So you have folks, when we think about integrity, Christian integrity, that should be a forefront in your ethics and values in any career choice that you do. Because just like we can say all politicians are lies, we can say all accountants are thieves, or we can say all bankers, we can put the stereotype on all of these things.
Right.
But I think what makes the qualification is that our ethics and values, because you can go into politics and still be a person of integrity. You can go to be a lawyer and still be a person of integrity. So I think when we put a blanket station, what is God calling you to? Don't go into a career that God has not called you to, first of all, right? And two, go in with glorifying God and let God guide you and direct you.
Right. And what about the gray areas? The gray areas, the gray area careers. Let's say in the areas where there's this little tug and push between if it's of God, if it's glorifying God or not. So, for instance, you want to open up a bar, all right, a bar, and the bar sells alcohol. You have passion for, persons, just recreating and having a good time. Or you're an investor, but you're investing in companies that that you are calling your worker, you are called as an investor to invest or to hedge funds for persons who may not be of the most the most integral of people. How do you balance these desire to do great things or do big things for God, but they're in these gray areas where may not be ungodly, may not be godly, but there's some room where you can slide into that. These kind of areas. We want to make sure we cover everything because we want to just touch on the obvious ones.
Right?
You're not lagging there before. We were not hearing you, so you just repeat what you started off saying.
I don't think there are gray areas. It's either you are glorifying God or not.
Right.
And the question is, God called you to this, right? Have you seek God about opening a bar?
Right.
Acknowledge Him in all your wisdom might be crying out for that. Wisdom might be running from. You might be chasing wisdom and you can't catch it, as some people say. So, the question is it glorifying to God, and has God called you to it? Right. And at the end of the day, I can't judge because God is the only judge, and we all have to stand before and give an account, right? So I think acknowledge God, seek Him out, get what He's telling you to do to direct your path, and let Him direct your path.
Right. Anybody else want to just add on that? Thanks, Sheva. Anybody wants to just add something to it?
I'll tag in if that's okay. The last thing, because when you asked the question, that's the first thing I went to. God being the one directing you or giving you directive, because we may consider it evil, we may consider it the gray areas, but God may just use you in that position to influence and kind of turn around that entire entity. So that was just my 2 pence.
All right. Thanks, Sheila. Thanks. Judy, anything you want to chime in here on?
Well, that is a little hard, right? Because then I think if you are balancing the Christian life and the Christian life, you'll know exactly what area to ask God to call you into. So you wouldn't say, oh, God, call me into a bar because I feel like if I get people drunk, I'm going to make a lot of money. But then that's something that you're not going to call on God to take you in, right? So you'll say, put me in the place, your will be done, right? So, but I mean, that is a little hard question to answer because you know what? We going into generalization and we going into how do you say, being judgmental, right? So, I don't know. That is a hard one. But I think that if you are following God and you know what your values are, you will make the right decision in what career that is pleasing to God and to yourself.
Right. So basically, your career choice has to be impacted by your Christian life. Or
It
you could
has
say
to
like
be.
pastor.
Yes,
You could
I
say like
think so.
pastor.
It has to be because then it's like you can't just sit there and say, I'm going into the church on Sunday, going to the church on Wednesday afternoon, but on the low, you are providing alcohol, you are providing whatever is off the wall, right?
Mhm.
And you saying, okay, well, I'm doing that in the name of the Lord. But so tell me, so tell me.
The paycheck. So I have two more questions before we come into almost to the end of the time. But one Judy, I think you've touched on it. Everybody have touched on it in some way, but I think this one really hits me because I think that was where I was at when I was in TAMCC. How do we guide persons who we spoke about passion, but how do we guide these people who don't have any passion? People who they're about to they left secondary school about to enter TAMCC or they finished TAMCC about to enter the world, but they don't have a clue what they want to do. You ask them what they're passionate about, they don't know. You ask them where they see themselves in 5 years, they don't know. Um, how do you guide this person along a career path? Is it that they have to just stumble into something and hope that they like it? Um, and to add to that, because I want to just give the questions some weight. How do we guide people who are, is it a lack of vision or a lack of passion? Persons who decided that, hey, I want to be, uh, you know, whatever job that we see as the low level job. I just want to be a cashier, a cashier. I just want to be a janitor. I just want to be a this. Um, do we know see these people as if they have a lack of vision or if they have not been guided along the correct path that they're supposed to have. So these are two people I want us to focus on. Right, those who don't know, they have not a clue of what they want to do, and those who are doing what they have to do. It may not be something they're passionate about, but they're doing it because they have to do it. They've been doing it for years, and they have no drive to do anything different than what they're doing now. So let's reach to these people.
If I may
Wow.
tag in
I
here,
did. Yeah.
I would say they have to start somewhere. Try different things and don't just wait till after school, but while in school, you try. Like for me, for example, I always like to use me as an example. When I was in secondary school, although I knew I wanted to do law, I knew I wanted to get into politics. As a way of creating a buffer, I would have done a variety of subjects. So a little science, a little technical, a little business, so that I get exposed to everything. Because I always had the desire to just get a little piece of everything, so that when I get in that position, at least I have some sort of understanding in the various areas. So for these individuals, I would say explore because there are many opportunities, there are many options, and most importantly, in everything that they enter, seek the directive from God. I keep going back on that. I keep stressing
Right.
that because it is extremely important.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
other thing is those that are in, and I'm doing this in air quotes, the low level jobs, because we as a society we tend to generalize,
Right.
look down on these people. But I've always said this: everybody has a purpose, everybody has a reason. Every job or every career plays a part in the development of our entire society. I
Right.
always refer to garbage collectors. They are important.
Hmm.
Everybody looks down on those that do that job or choose to do that job for many years, but they are essential to the functioning of our society.
Yeah. Paid
So
well.
it may seem low level, but they're performing their role, and you never know what they're getting out of it. We may be on the outside looking in, but
Hmm.
if internally they themselves they're getting satisfaction, they're getting fulfillment, they feel like they're doing something, and that is sufficient, and they're helping others along the way. So that's just my 2 pence yet again.
Wow. Thank you, Jada. Thank you very much for that. For that $5. That wasn't 2 pence, man. That's $5. Anybody else want to chime in on that? On that.
Well,
That
I
question?
think I'll go. So on the story of the garbage collector, the hospital that I work for, one of the director of the hospital, he started off as a housekeeping aide. He was cleaning bathrooms. He was cleaning the hospital, and he became the director of the hospital.
Wow.
So, yes. So, no job, I think there is no job that is beneath someone, because you're not stealing. You're doing a job. It may not be you may walk and say, oh, I'm walking in my, I'm going to use the word posh, sound like I'm old fashioned. You walking in your posh shoes, your posh clothes, right? And you're looking down at somebody, but somebody has to do the job, right? Somebody has to clean. Somebody has to pick up the garbage. Somebody has to do that. It may not be at your standards, right? But somebody has to do the job. And I say, if you are doing a job that you love and you're not stealing, then you are doing a job. You are doing something. It's a to you and me, it may not look as God purposeful, but it is a God purposeful job when you're not stealing or when you're not killing somebody to live off of them. And I think I went sideways with that question, but maybe I need to rein it in a little bit. But and the fact of the matter is, I don't think there's some of us who were born knowing what we want to be, right? Everybody has this thing about, like you said, starting off as being a police officer, and then they drift along in life. But I drift along in life a lot. And it happened one day. I was like, I was like, finally, God, please tell me what to do. I was walking out from the community college, and I was walking out the door, and I said, please, God, please just tell me what to do. And the little voice says, go into the career center. And the career center was right there by the door that I was walking out of. So I got to the door and I turned around and I walked back into the career center. And at the time, in the office, there was nobody there but myself and the career director. And she's like, what do you want to do, Judy? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And she's like, look at all this credit you have. And she gave me two options. At the time, we had two private college that come to the community college. So you didn't have to drive to the university. So she's like, pick one. And it was funny enough, I didn't pick human resources. I picked human services. And that took me into the human resource path, right? So sometimes we have people who know what they want and it is etched into their brains, right? And some of us, we just wander life, and then God say, all right, let me drive now, and I'm going to do this for you and give you great satisfaction. So I think, I don't know if I bundled that answer, but I probably
We got it. We ciphered the message. What's it?
I agree with the speakers, the panelists that talked before. That I think you said an important thing: may not know. So I think sometimes it's where we have to do things in order to gain insight, right? Whether it be, as Jada said, try different things, right? And that may lead you into your passion. That might lead you into, hey, I didn't know I was good at this, right? I didn't know I was good at computers. I didn't know I was good at talking. I didn't know I was good at whatever that may be. But until you actually try different things, how would you know? Right? And that's one way, definitely, of finding out different things that you might be interested in. Concerning kind of the low level, I think sometimes culturally we put it as low level.
Right.
But when you think about even scripture, it says what? We all part of one body, right? The toes is as important as the finger, as important as the brain, right? And so when I think about not jobs in general, that everyone has their purpose and everybody have a passion, right? So somebody might be passionate about seeing things clean and they may become a garbage collector, right? Somebody who picks up refuge. And that is important. Let one day they decide all
Yeah.
folks going on
Problem.
strike. We will see how
Problems.
essential
Yeah.
those folks are. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So I think we all have our parts to play, and we all function, even as the body says, as one body,
Mhm.
one system.
Right.
And once the system we're taking care of each other, the system works even better.
Better.
And so not looking down at others,
Mhm.
but again trying to elevate because and I always think that, as Judy said, you can start as a janitor and you can end up as a director one day.
Right.
Let
Right.
God direct your path.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we see career paths such as a pyramid. You know, you start on the bottom and move up, but sometimes it's just about expanding your own dimension, expanding your territory. It's not about somebody's below you and somebody's above you. It's just that you shifting into something different and you go into something more deeper, right? And I think if we see it like that, then we will respect the person who's collecting the garbage, not because they're below us on some hierarchical, stairway, but they're just part of an entire system, part of a body, part of an extension that we all fit into. So it's not the CEO at the top and the janitor at the bottom, but it's a circular system where everybody plays their role, and we all want together. So for the final question, I think for the night, that I want everybody to give me their perspective is, when do you think, or how does one know when it's time to pivot, when it's time to change direction, time to move from accounting and go into theology, move from office, go into human resource, move from politics to law. How do you know when it's time to pivot? Not only pivot within your career space, but pivot to something totally different. And I remember, I heard the story of the carriage makers. The carriage makers and the dung cleaners, back in the 18th century, before cars came in, and those who were making the carriages for the horses. And then, once cars came in, a whole host of jobs were left obsolete because persons were no longer driving carriages, no driving cars. Right now we have AI coming in. We have so much new opportunities, but at the same time, there are a lot of jobs and other career paths that are becoming obsolete. How does one know when it's time to pivot? Not only because of threat of becoming extinct, but it could be the leading of the Lord. It could be just that need for something different. But we all see people who start in one area of their life, doing one thing, and they make a whole entire shift. They leave their job and they go and become a minister, or they leave ministry and they go and do something different. How do we know when is that time to pivot, and how does one go about pivoting in that, making such a drastic change in their life? Who wants to just answer that one, and attempt it? All right, yes, I see.
Right? I think for
Mhm.
me, that when I was teaching, as God led, I felt and I knew that a change was coming. And I can look back in my life and see that that has been how I have gotten to where I'm at because I felt the leading of God and I followed Him, right? And so I think for me, it's God directing. That as you connect with God, God directs your path. And as you direct, He provide the resources, He provide the way. Because if you really look at my path, some of the things that I've done, I should not have gotten to do it. Coming from little gold grenada, I shouldn't have gotten to go
Right,
places, and I shouldn't have gotten to do the things that I've done.
right. You got there. All right. Judy, you want to chime in here?
I think you just know there's this feeling that change is upon you, right? And you just know and you feel that. Um it's just something. Maybe as you get older in life and you get more in tune with God, you feel that, oh, it's time to leave. Then I always say, if I'm making too many mistakes, it's time to walk away, because that means I'm not in love with what I'm doing anymore, right? I'm just doing it because I'm getting paid. So there's no more or the passion is gone, right? And you know when the passion is gone. Oh my gosh, there's not something that anybody can tell you that you don't have the passion. You can nobody can say, okay, Judy, your passion is gone. You can feel it. Somebody don't have to tell you that the passion is gone. And that's when you know change is inevitable. But I always say before leaving one thing, you fall in love with something else, right? And that's when you know. So then I decide now I want to go back to doing cooking because I'm in love with it again. Oh God, no. I can't have the feet. No, 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 my feet. There is no good shoes to go back to cooking. Not even those how do you say those things on the floor, the mats? The anxiety mat that keeps you standing. So that you know definitely when you lose the passion and you have something and you have a passion for something else, it's time for change. But most of the time we always feel like we have to go to changes by yourself, but we got to seek God guidance in the things we have to do. And
Right.
then that's when we know that, hey, that other passion that is calling, it's God will and not just Judy's will.
Right, right. All right,
Yeah.
Jada, thanks, thanks. Jada, you have anything to add to that?
I concur with both Dr. Stephen and Miss Monroe. It's really God. I think you would, as she said, you would know. And one of the things too, everything you do within that career so would start to feel like a task. It would be draining. That would be one of the indications of that. So it's really paying attention to God's direction and going from there.
All right. And just to add, but there are also times when God will pull you from a shining career. You'll be at the top of your game in the heat of it, um, passionate about it, and then you just start to feel that God is calling you in a different direction. I think these are some of the hard decisions that I mean, I don't think everybody has to go through that, but there are some who has gone through it and have to go through it in the heat of what they thought was their best life. God just make them turn into something different. And then after they were saying, thank God that they followed God because it was even better than what they had originally. So I think what I'm hearing from all the panelists, it comes down to following the direction of God. Um, and if you listen to this and you're wondering, well, I'm not a Christian, I I'm not connected with God on that level, then I will tell you first and foremost, get connected with God. um, that is the direction. Without God is the center, God is the driving force, God is the director, the leader of your career path. Everything else is just us trying to do things. I mean, um, the grace and the mercy of God is so big, however, that He is able to guide one who's not even looking for His guidance. Persons who and later in their life come to Christ, look back on their life and they say it was God leading me up to this, because God ultimately directs His sons and His daughters for His will, and it is He who does of His goodwill, so that we can also line up ourselves. As the word say, His goodness will lead men to repentance. Right. Um, so I just want to have everyone give their last word before we just shut this down. Um, we have persons who are listening all over Grenada, online, all over the world actually, and they just you just want to give them some nuggets in terms of what in terms of choosing the career path, following their passion, deciding what to do next. You have 1 minute to tell them something. What it is that you would tell them. Jada, I start with you.
And I think based on the conversation, our nuggets are already out there. Explore, 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 but most importantly, seek God's direction. That is ultimate. Like you cannot go wrong with that. And just to make a point on what you said, I think obedience and discernment very much important because as you said, you may be in this space where okay, you think you have it all and you think you're at the peak, but then God say, nope, I have another plan for you. You need to be obedient and go with what He says. Because sometimes we think, okay, we reach and we get complacent. And then we decide, okay, I'm good here, I'm not moving. But we need to be obedient and follow God's directive. That is extremely important. But
Nice.
definitely explore, see what works for you, and go from there.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. Thank you, Jada. Thank you very much. Judy, let's hear from you.
Well, I would say seek ye first, because when I did that, my life changed and everything fall into place. There was nothing that, you know, how you have that nice hairdo and then all of a sudden you get this piece that stick out. So that was being with God and asking God to direct my path, and everything was smooth along the way. So, like I always say, seek ye first, and once you do that, then God will work everything out for you. But you have to put Him first. Don't go in the driver's seat. Let Him drive, and things will be perfect.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Judy. Trevor, let's hear from you.
Explore, and seek ye first. Develop a vision, right? Develop a vision. The Bible says, without a vision, the people perish. And that goes so true, because you have to be going to a direction that God is calling you to. Where you are, how are you going to get there? So dive deep and have a plan, right? So as you seek God and you explore, and God gives you that direction, cast a vision and say, hey, God wants me to, I want to achieve this in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years, and go after it. God is going to provide, and God is going to direct you once he gives you. The Bible says, acknowledge him in all the ways and he'll direct you back.
All right. Thank you very much, Trevor. And thank you very much to all our panelists. So you've heard it here on Youth Energy Fridays, Career Choices. We thank you all for your wisdom, and we definitely have to have you back. I think that what was shared here today is very important, because we have those who definitely know what they want to be, those who have no idea where they want to go, those who are in the midst of their career and they want some guidance as to whether to change, whether to keep ahead. And there's so many different points in our lives that we encounter in ourselves. But I think the main and the totality of it all is this: if you follow after God and let God direct your path, He will lead you in the right direction as to where you should go with your career. So whether you have to pivot, whether you have to just hold the strain and remain forward, whether you have to, within the same passion, just jump into something different. Whether it is that we have to even, as I'm seeing now a comment, you know, get away from what we call traditional careers and see what are the different things out there. There's a lot that we have to consider. AI is coming in, so how do we deal with AI in terms of our career choices? IT is coming in, it's going stronger. How do we deal with it? The offline, the online. There's so much things to consider when we're dealing with our career and our career path. So I believe we cannot be in the box. We cannot continue to think um, in the old ways. But one thing that should never lack from our decision making process is what is God calling me to do? Where is God leading me? How far does God want me to go? Right? And at the end of the day, once we lock onto that, um, you know, we would go as far as God will have us go. So I just want to thank you all for coming on. Thank you for answering the call. As you say, this is Youth Energy Fridays. We are here every last Friday in every month. Different topics, but same spirit. Information that will build our young people, build our not just our young people, but build and not just Christians, build our nation. Because this is something that we all can benefit from. So thank you, Jada. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Trevor. May God continue to bless you. Thank you to all our listeners. All right. Thank you to all our listeners. Thank you to all our viewers. And I say, continue to walk in the Spirit of Christ and continue to keep His banner flying high. So as we go, we just want to encourage you that if you would like to support ISCF is a non-denomination Christian organization dedicated to bringing Christ to the schools. And the motto of ISCF is to know God and to make Him known. So you can support us, whether it be financially, whether it be with your prayers, whether it be with your time. But we are constantly trying to penetrate the schools, get into the schools, have the young people lead other young people to Christ and build a Christ-centered school system. Right. So we covet your prayers, we covet your support financially. You can find us on ISCF Grenada on Facebook, ISCF Grenada on Instagram, and you can reach out to us. And we're always open for partners in this work. So have a blessed night, everyone. Stay safe, stay in Christ, and we'll see you next month, final Friday in every month for Youth Energy Friday with ISCF. Take care.
That's in a different language, my brother. Come on, sing it out, yeah. For me, for me, oh, you are for me. I'll rest my head on your shoulder. All my worry is over. Jesus, you're the restorer.